In the village of Udo, partners are paired in marriage by casting lots. Twice a year, the lot casting ceremony took place in Udo. It was a day of whispered prayers and silent dread as families gathered in the village square to see who would be paired with whom. The elders of the village, revered for their wisdom and impartiality, would oversee the process. They cast lots, calling on the gods to guide their hands and ensure that each match was ordained by fate. Before the lots are casted, two families with children of marriage age are randomly picked. The potential families are informed beforehand and brought out on a specific day for the pairing. After the information is passed to the respective families, they begin their research about themselves to know what they were getting into. Sometimes they are satisfied, other times they are not. In this story, Inyoma's family, known as the Okafo family, was chosen as the bride's family. She was the eldest of 3 ladies. She was happy because if luck was on her side, she would be married. Otherwise, any of her younger sisters may go before her. Chukwu Okafo was a respected farmer known for his hard work and has raised his family on the principles of honesty, diligence, and respect. His wife, Adora, was known throughout the village for her wisdom and strong will. They had 3 daughters, Inyoma, a beauty known for her sharp mind, Chioma, and Ngozi. Inyoma carried the weight of her family's hopes and struggles. She was proud, intelligent, and capable, but the burden of expectations left her little room to dream. For years, her family had been struggling to recover from a poor harvest and a debt incurred when her father fell ill. And now, as the lot casting ceremony approached, the family's hopes rested on Inyoma finding a match that could improve their fortunes. The Okudo family was among the most prominent in the village, known for their wealth and influence. They owned large plots of land, prosperous businesses, and fine livestock. Their 2 elder sons, Chibueze and Udochukwu, were the pride of their family. But there was a 3rd son, Ifeanyi, who was rarely spoken of. On the day of the lot casting ceremony, the village square came alive with vibrant colors and anticipation. Families dressed in their finest attire and presented themselves before the elders. Inyoma wore her best blue wrapper, her hair carefully braided, her skin shining with palm oil. She stood beside her family with her head held high, though her heart raced with uncertainty. When the Okudo family arrived, their presence commanded attention. Chibueze and Udochukwu walked confidently, their heads held high. Then Ifeanyi followed, his movements slower as he looked to the ground. Silence fell over the square as people stretched their necks to get a better look. At this point, every member of the Okafo family became anxious and started praying that none of them is betrothed to him. Though an imbecile, he was the most handsome of them all. They did not find out about him because the Okudo family had kept him secret for years. Some of the people gathered only questioned why an imbecile should qualify as a candidate. Since they could not do anything about the custom, they had to accept it. The lot casting ceremony began, and family names were called one by one. The Okafos got more anxious. As the priest announced each pairing, cheers and clap followed, or in some cases, whispers of disappointment swept through the crowd. When the priest's voice broke out, Ifeanyi and Inyoma, the square fell silent. People were shocked and looked at Inyoma with pity. Her parents and sisters were sad. Inyoma felt her world crumble. Of all the men in the village, she had been paired with an imbecile. Where did she go wrong, she thought. Her vision blurred with tears as she fought to maintain her composure. Her mother placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, but the gesture felt hollow. How could this be her fate? The weeks leading up to the wedding were filled with tension and sadness in the Okafo household. Inyoma cried in secret. Her dreams of marrying a man who could match her strength and intelligence were shattered. The Okudo family, in contrast, celebrated with lavish preparations, seemingly unbothered by the whispers that followed Ifeanyi wherever he went. The wedding day finally arrived, and the ceremony was a spectacle. Villagers gathered, eager to witness what many called a tragic pairing. Ifeanyi, however, dressed in a traditional attire, fumbled awkwardly through the rituals. His clumsiness drew quiet chuckles and pitying glances from the guests. Inyoma, her face a mask of false composure, moved through the day in pretense. In the weeks after the wedding, Inyoma kept her distance from Ifeanyi. She refused to share a bed with him, choosing instead to sleep in a small hut adjacent to their main living quarters. She spoke to him only when necessary and spent most of her days at her parents' compound. Ifeanyi, for his part, seemed unbothered by her coldness. He went about his daily tasks quietly, never raising his voice or showing any sign of frustration. But as time passed, Inyoma began to notice strange things about her husband. Despite his reputation, he was incredibly careful and calm. Their hut was always tidy. She also noticed that he would disappear for hours at a time, returning with no explanation. The turning point came during the funeral of Ifeanyi's father, or rather, the man he had always called his father. The event was grand, as befitted a man of Chief Okudo's status. During the ceremony, whispers began to circulate through the crowd. Rumors spread that Chief Okudo was not Ifeanyi's biological father and that the two elder sons were not his brothers. Inyoma listened in shock as fragments of truth began to emerge. Later that evening, Ifeanyi gathered the village elders and his family to reveal the full story. He was not the imbecile everyone believed him to be. His biological parents, wealthy landowners, had been murdered in a land dispute years ago by his supposed father. Ifeanyi was the only survivor and had been taken by his uncle, Chief Okudo, who treated him as a burden. To protect himself, Ifeanyi pretended to be an imbecile, knowing that his uncle's greed would not tolerate a threat to his wealth and power. For years, he played the fool, silently gathering information and waiting for the right moment to reclaim his inheritance. That moment had come. With the elders' blessing and support, Ifeanyi reclaimed his family's lands and properties. His so-called brothers knelt before him begging for mercy. Inyoma watched from the sidelines, her mind racing. The man she thought she had married, a fool, an imbecile, was a man of remarkable intelligence and resilience. That night, in the privacy of their huts, she confronted him. "Why did you hide the truth from me?" she demanded, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and betrayal. Ifeanyi's response was calm but filled with emotion. He explained his past, his reasons for maintaining the pretense, and the risk he had taken to protect himself. "I didn't mean to deceive you," he said, "but the truth was dangerous. I needed to wait until the time was right." Inyoma listened, her anger gradually giving way to understanding. She saw the strength it had taken for him to endure years of mockery and suspicion to survive in a world that sought to crush him. For the first time, she looked at him not with pity or resentment, but with a newfound respect. The weeks that followed were a time of healing and growth. Ifeanyi, no longer bound by his act, began to show his true self. He was kind, intelligent, and loving, a man who had learned to navigate life's challenges with quiet determination. Inyoma too began to shed her preconceived notions and embrace the man she had once dismissed.